I'm going to get into controversy right now. I have ranked all of Game's albums. So I did Eminem's a while ago. And I'm doing this because right now I'm in a whole Game mode where I'm just listening to Game music. I've been listening to Game all day, 24/7, really, because I'm working on these documentaries relating to him. So I've been listening to the albums. I've been listening to what I like, what I dislike. And disclaimer, one, I'm not including mixtapes. Like I said, no mixtapes, no soundtracks, no compilation albums, just straight studio albums. Also, I'm counting the documentary and the documentary 2.5 as one album. It's not going to be two albums for me. I count that as one album. I just think that I think of 2.5 as deluxe version, of today's deluxe version. Because right now we get deluxe version, we get an extra 10, 15, 20, whatever. It's the same shit. Just back then in 2015, they weren't doing that. They were just dropping a second kind of. So I count documentary 2 as an album, not two albums. So, with that being said, here's people going to get pissed off, man. I think there's going to be a lot. But it's my opinion, guys. It's just my opinion. This has nothing to do with anything. I'm going to paint the picture like I did with Eminem. I'm going to paint the picture of why it's like this, why I consider this and this. Let's start with the worst album. And this isn't, by the way, I want to make this clear too. Game has a lot of great albums. All of them are great.
Yes.
Some of them rank from good to great. Now, what do I mean by good? Good is like a 6 to 7. That's a good album. A great album is 8 to 9. And then a classic is 10 out of 10, obviously. So Game has good and great albums. Game does not have a bad album at all. Not one bad album, in my opinion.
Hell no.
So let's start with number 8. Because there's 9. He has 9 albums officially. If you count Documentary 2 and Documentary 2.5, that's 9 albums. We're going to start with number 8, counted as one album. The Documentary 2. That to me is the worst Game album. It's not a bad album at all. It's a good album, but it's the worst one, I think. Because, and here's why, and I always say this for everybody. I said this with Eminem. You cannot follow up albums that were your debut albums. It just never works out. I'm expecting it to sound like Documentary. You're never going to get it to sound like that ever. Why name it the Documentary 2? That's a setup for failure off the jump. I don't like Documentary 2. The title alone gives it, already it's a hit on it. Just like Eminem's Marshall Mathers LP 2. That wasn't a bad album, but it definitely wasn't as good as the first one. Not even close. Yeah. Like I said, if 50 did Get Rich or Die Trying 2, I would get so pissed.
It's always a bad idea.
Yeah, I would get so pissed because it just it will not follow up. That's my main reason for it. I like the 100 track with Drake, which is a single. I like a few tracks here and there. I honestly forgot a lot of the tracks because I don't really fuck with the album like that. Yeah. There's so many tracks, too. It's like 30, 40 tracks.
It just sets like a unrealistic expectations to the album.
Yeah, it's too many tracks, way too many tracks. I can't fuck with that. I can't fuck with the title. It sets me up to thinking it's the same as Documentary. You didn't get 50 on the album. You didn't get Eminem on the album. You didn't get 28 on the album. You didn't get all these other producers, Nate Dogg, who passed away, obviously. Dr. Dre really wasn't hands-on like that on this album either. So a lot of things play into the role. That's why, to me, it's the worst Game album. Number 7, I got Born to Rap, which was his latest release. Now, this was a great album. I really enjoyed this album. I really did. But if you compare it to his other projects, it is, it's at the down of the list. It's not a bad album at all. It's a good album. I give it probably a 7 out of 10, out of rating. Yeah, it's a good album. I enjoyed it. 6.57. It's a great album. I really, really liked, especially the Nipsey Hussle record, Welcome Home.
Yeah.
That kind of, Dr. Dre that's the only track Dr. Dre mixed and mastered. And he killed it on there. And you can tell the difference between Dr. Dre's production and the rest of the records. But yeah, it was a great, I'm glad Game didn't retire after the album because that wasn't the album to retire to. It was a good album, but it wasn't what Game was hoping people would kind of give him praise for. Number 6.
Didn't that album also have like too many tracks?
Yeah, it's another album with a shit ton of tracks.
God, 25 or something.
Yeah. Number 6. I actually enjoyed this album. This album was short, sweet, and to the point.
Ooh.
And at the time, he was beefing with Meek Mill.
Ooh.
And slapping the shit out of him. So, he was destroying him with that Ooh record. Speaking of Ooh, he was destroying him on the Ooh record. You guys know what I'm talking about. 1992. This is where Game, really put in perspective the year that was and kind of paying homage to that time of everything that was going on. And it brought me back to like old school hip hop. It was just an overall great album. I think the single was obviously a poor choice, All Eyes, but it did really well. It's like if you look on Apple Music, it's one of his top tracks on there.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the album. Was it really memorable like that? Was it an album that like, wow, fucking amazing? I mean, it had its things. It had its moments. I really enjoyed 92 Bars. What was the record? Let me see. I got to remember these tracks. I grew up on Wu-Tang was one of them. True Colors / It's On. I enjoyed Bompton, but that's really about it. 92 Bars is probably my favorite out of the whole thing.
True Colors or something.
Yeah, I haven't heard of those. True Colors / It's On. Yeah, I said that. So yeah, that is number 6. Number 5. This one, a lot of people enjoyed this album. I get why people enjoyed it, but to me, it wasn't up there like that. Jesus Piece. Not Jesus Pieces.
I keep saying, why you got a Jesus Piece?
Yeah.
Kodak.
So Jesus Piece. This was the last album on Interscope Records that he had to deliver. I don't know how to explain this album. I enjoyed it. It wasn't, it had bonus tracks here and there. It wasn't too long. The single Celebration was great. Ali Bombaya, 2 Chainz, Rick Ross was all right. J. Cole Pray, that record's dope with J. Cole and JMSN. What other record? Heaven's Arms, I liked. See No Evil, I liked. Hallelujah with Jamie Foxx, I liked. Yeah, you had records that were dope. I Remember, which is the deluxe bonus track, Jeezy and Future, I liked. Yeah.
It was a decent, solid album.
Yeah, this is where I give it like a 7 out of 10, maybe 7.5. It's starting to get better, and it's like, this wasn't a bad album by any means. It was a good to almost great album. It was there. Yeah, that album kind of just did its thing for me. Number 4.
Let me guess.
LAX.
I knew it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Game.
I gotta put you guys kind of where my mindset was at the time. I hated Game at the time because I was a G Unit stan.
Facts.
And this time he was dissing 50 and G Unit saying TOS is garbage and LAX gonna sell more and all this. And obviously LAX did sell more, but that's a group album versus a solo album. It's unfair to kind of compare the two because group albums usually don't sell as well as solo albums. Regardless, so you got to kind of, my mindset at the time, I really wasn't fucking with the album. But, as you mature, as you get older, I don't give a shit about taking sides. I never take sides anymore in music. I fuck with every artist at this point. I have no issues with, really any artist besides Frenchie because he's garbage. He sucks at making music.
Jeez.
And then William Roberts, him. He's kind of... he just has an identity crisis issue.
Both.
That's really about it. Other than that, I really have no issues with no artist. I don't take sides on things. I don't, to me, I'm not a 13-year-old kid like I was before. Or be like, oh man, fuck Game because he's saying G U not. Like, I don't give a shit now at this point. Right. So I went back to the album LAX probably like years down the line. I'm thinking like 2012, 2013. And I never listened to the album, by the way, at the time. I only heard the singles. And I was greeted by DMX intro where he spits like, how he does those holy bars. Yeah. He killed the intro.
The intro, yeah.
Yeah. And then you got LX. I like State of Emergency with Ice Cube. That was amazing. Bulletproof Diaries with Raekwon. My Life, obviously.
Was that intro like something that he said before, or that was just specifically for
No, it was specifically for that album. So he got DMX, which was dope.
That was dope.
My Life, I like. You heard Ludacris. Obviously, Luda's always delivering. Gentleman's Affair. House of Pain was a great record. Great single, too. What else? Never Can Say Goodbye was one of those the dope boys in the building.
Yeah.
Travis
Barker. This was an okay album, man. It was pretty good.
Games Pain, which you love to cruise to. Keisha Cole, I enjoyed. Letter to the King. Outro with the DMX was obviously fire. Camera Phone, which was a bonus deluxe version. They shot a video to that. I really enjoyed that. Neo killed that fucking hook too. Game did a great job on that. Great album, man. This was I give it 7.5 out of 8. It was there.
Yeah,
it was a great album.
That's a good rating for that.
Yeah, I give it 7 point. Maybe I can even give it an 8 out of 10. Great album, man. Overall, Game was delivering at the time. Also, Game was delivering more. This is the records that I wish 50 would deliver. My Life. That's a record that I wish 50 could deliver at the time. That's my point with 50. He wasn't delivering those heartfelt records. Mm-hmm. He never did. It was always gangsta shit, and that's what kind of made him fall off. If 50 would have led before I self-destruct with They Burn Me is a great record.
You always said that, yeah.
He never, yeah. If I ever get talking to him, I'd be like, you fucked up Curtis and Before I Self-Destruct. Curtis and Before I Self-Destruct could have been totally different albums and would have been way better. Curtis is your name. It should have been more of a personal album. Before I Self-Destruct should have been you reflecting on the success like Eminem did with Eminem's show. You did it so good. Reflecting on the success, the ups and downs, the issues that you had, labels, all this shit.
Right.
You could have done that on those albums and just missed it. With those titles, you got to fit those music with those titles. I feel like he missed that. Going on to Game was kept delivering those personal type of records that I enjoyed a lot. Game wasn't scared to go into his emotions. You know, at the time in hip-hop, it was very taboo to get emotional and talk about emotional things. Game at the time was even crying because he was suicidal. Game didn't care. You know, that's why, man, I remember when he dropped My Life, I was like, man, fuck, I wish this was something 50 would do. I like this way better than anything 50 Cent has released recently. I remember saying that to myself. And I didn't want to admit it because I was like, you know, I was a 50 fan and I was like, fuck Game.
Yeah.
I didn't want to admit it, but it was such a great record. Game's Pain, too, with Keisha Cole. And so, great album, man. 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed it.
I like that record. Game's Pain.
Top 3. Yep. This is going to cause some controversy.
Oh,
y'all going to be pissed.
Y'all close your ears.
But it's my opinion, man. This is what my experience is, what I enjoy the most. What I kind of really thought about what albums I went back to a lot and that I listened to and that I enjoyed. And this is it, man.
Yeah.
Number 3.
Let us know.
The documentary.
What the fuck?
Some people are probably surprised, like, oh, 50's on Eminem, Dr. Dre, you're probably going to choose that. No, I love the documentary, man. Great album. You got 50 on the first 2 singles. Hate or Love It, How We Do. Great records. You got Dreams with Kanye, amazing record. You got Put You on the Game, which is another single that was fire. Start From Scratch. I wish I could start my life from scratch. That was a great record. He's drunk, figuring it out. Great. And at the moment, you have to picture, too, Game doesn't know his identity. He's trying to figure out who he is as an artist. He's under the camp of G-Unit and the House of Aftermath, trying to deliver something for people and trying to put himself out there as an established artist. And he did that. He executed it perfect, man. I think this album is a really, really great album. I give it an 8.5, damn near 9. I'll give it 9 out of 10. I think it's a 9 out of 10. Yeah. You know, it's missing some records, and I think some of these records, even Game didn't want on this album. The record with Mary J. Blige, he said he never liked on the album. The record Special with Nate Dogg, he never really liked. That's one that 50 wrote the hook to, that he didn't like that record. There's a few tracks that could have been out of there. If those tracks weren't on the album or replaced with something else, that probably would have been a classic to me. I think that album would have been to me. And by the way, guys, what I clarify as a classic is liking every single track on the album, which is very hard to do. That's why I don't give out the name classic to not many albums, man. I got like 5 classics to me, and that's nothing compared to all the albums that came out. I have to like every single track from top to bottom, not skip anything. Yep. And Game doesn't have that for me personally. They could have that for you, and much props to you. A lot of people consider the documentary a classic. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you agree, if that's what you think, that's what you think. That's respectable. It's damn near there though. It's a 9 out of 10 to me. But yeah, those records. Let me go over the track list.
Put you in the game.
Timbaland killed that fucking thing. Even Dreams, Kanye West killed that. So let me go over the track list. So West Side Story, obviously great record. Dreams, Hater, Lover, Higher, How We Do.
Oh my god.
Don't Need Your Love. Church for Thugs is all right. Put You on the Game, I love. Start From Scratch, I love. The documentary title, I love. Running with Tony Yayo, I love. No More Fun and Games, it was all right. We Ain't with Eminem, I love. Where I'm From, featuring Nate Dogg, I like. Special, yeah, these were the tracks. Special, Don't Worry. Even Like Father, Like Someone Bustin' Around was all right. You know, so it has 4 tracks I don't like on the album, which isn't that bad, man.
It's crazy how like Tony Yayo got to be on these like dope albums.
Yeah,
like
I'm surprised he got Yayo on the album.
Get Rich.
One thing I would love to ask Game is why didn't get Buck or Banks on the album instead of Yayo was on it.
Oh shit! I never.
Yeah, Buck and Banks were never on this album.
What the fuck?
Yeah. So,
yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, I would love to know why Banks or Buck were never on this album.
Wow.
Yeah, Yayo was on it, Eminem and 50,
yeah,
but not Buck or Banks. Yeah, so.
I wonder if they were in some shit.
What's funny is Game was on Banks' album. Yeah. Game was on Buck's album.
Yep.
So, I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question to ask.
That's a very good question.
9 out of 10. I love this album. I go to it constantly. Great album. Now, this is where the thing's going to get sticky, icky. And people are going to be like, man, what the fuck, man? All right, guys. Hear me out here before everybody starts commenting, because I know you guys on the Eminem ranking, some of you guys were attacking me like crazy. And, it's an opinion, guys. Just my opinion. I don't, it's not like what I say is the do or die of everything.
Yeah, please don't panic.
Number 2, Doctor's Advocate. Yeah.
Such a good album.
Yeah, the reason why I put it up documentary, And I'm working on the This is funny. I keep saying the documentary on Doctor's Advocate. It's funny. I'm working on the documentary for the making of Doctor's Advocate. So I've been putting myself in 2006 and 2005, the area when he was having these issues. And let me put in perspective of why this album is way better than the documentary. Not like better, but way better. Game loses Dre. Game loses 50. Game gets dropped from Aftermath and gets switched to a sister label, which has barely any funding, Geffen Records. Jimmy Iovine was smart enough to not drop Game officially, but just move him to a smaller label and see what Game can do with no budget. Game had no budget for the album. He put up his own money. He went to New York, locked himself in a studio for 2 months, and recorded. Yeah, he said, I was in New York and just locked myself in the studio for 2 months. He was like, I was angry against the world. Dre left me. 50 hates me. I'm dropped from the label, pushed to this small Geffen Records label. I hate the world, and I got to come back with something and prove to the world that I'm not no one-hit wonder, that I'm not just 50 helped me do this, 50 helped me with that, 50, if I couldn't do it, it wasn't for 50 or Dre. So you got to have to remember that. On top of that, going against 50 and Jay-Z, he was dissing Jay-Z at the time, and surviving that, being lucky that 50 and Jay didn't come back at you, still surviving that is tough to do, man. And to deliver 100%. With your back against the wall, to deliver a great album like this is very hard to do. And then comes back with a single, One Blood. Dre.
I see dead people.
Yeah, sorry,
I see blood.
All right, man, hold on.
All right, sorry.
So that record, he said that was the last track he recorded for the album. He said there was a kid that came in with beats on a CD.
No.
So he said all them shits were trash. So the only beat that was nice was the last one, which is the One Blood.
Interesting.
And then he heard it. He's like, all right, this is the one. And he snapped on that bitch. He snapped on it. Got no beef with 50, no beef with Jay.
Yeah.
What's beef when you getting head in a 6 tray?
God damn.
Yeah. So, and then he said, what do you say about the Game, let me find these bars before I fuck them up.
This album is, got to give him so underrated. You got to give him a lot of credit for what he did, man.
I'm the doctor's advocate. Yeah. Dre shot you, brought me back from the dead. That's why they call him the doctor. The math ain't gonna drop him.
Yeah, 50 ain't rocking.
Okay. I get it popping. So he is going against everybody, man. And the dope part is the energy in there, man. He said, sell another 5 million albums? Yes, I am.
Yeah.
And then he said, look, this is what I love. He said, and you guys ain't shit but new guys. Bathing Ape shoe guys. I'm talking to you guys. This is the new Snap Dancing, Bathing Apes, Soulja Boy, and all this shit that was going on. He was like, man, fuck this new sound. I'm still hot here. I'm still delivering.
Yeah.
And he said, look, words are easy. I'm so ill, believe me. I made room for Jeezy, but the rest of you guys better be glad you're breathing. All I need is one reason. I'm the king. And Dre said it, the West Coast need me.
Yeah.
He was carrying the West Coast, too.
Facts.
At the time, even asked Nipsey.
Give him credit.
He was saying, Nipsey, Kendrick, all of them on the West Coast were saying Game. We were looking up to Game at that moment because he was carrying. For Game to come back and deliver that great of an album.
I like how you said that. I bet Dre was proud of him.
Oh,
That's a straight fact.
Yeah. Dre probably was looking like, damn I really,
I'm proud of this motherfucker.
Yeah, I really gave him, I
and he proved us wrong.
Yeah, he proved the world wrong. Yeah. So, and then he said, made the room for Jeezy, but the rest of you guys better be glad you're breathing. And then let me see what he said.
Such legendary moments. Like, imagine being around that moment. Like he's recording this 2 months in the studio. Black
T-shirts, all you see is the A. Turn on the TV, and all you see is the A. You guys better make up a dance to try to get radio play. So he's like dissing on the new dancing rappers.
Yeah, I ain't with that shit.
Keep on snapping your fingers. I ain't going away. Hey, that is hilarious. Yeah, I ain't going away. This is what I mean. His game was going like people thought he fell off and was going away. Like
Stop.
I like these bars.
I'm the fucking best, man.
He says I don't regret what I spit because I know he did regret what he spit on that same track. That's the funny part about that. But
all right.
Great, and then you got Let's Ride, all these singles that came out, especially Wouldn't Get Far. Kanye West killed that. What I really like is the Doctor's Advocate title track.
Yeah, you told me.
Yeah, the beginning of that, time after time, and then just like it's like a horror movie. And Game is drunk, and he's talking to Busta Rhymes, and then he talks about apologizing to Dre. I'm sure I would love if I ever got a chance to interview Dr. I would ask him what was your reaction when you heard that record. What did you think about Game
Yeah, that's a good
when he was
question.
apologizing to you? Did you feel sorry for him? What was the situation? And then Game's apologizing on the track, and then Busta Rhymes explaining how he met Game and how he's not listening. It's okay, Dre, but just let him cool off and he'll figure it out. And it's just a dope record, man.
Right.
Throughout the whole album, it's dope, man. Californication, bang. Around the World, Jamie Foxx, fire. Why You Hit the Game with Nas, amazing. Compton, Will I Am is
What
great.
do you rate this album out of 10?
I give it a little bit higher in documentary, so 9.2 out of 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I would say 9.
Well, I mean, 9 is the same as documentary. I gave documentary 9, so I got to give it a little bit higher, 9.2.
Yeah, okay.
I'll give it a 9.2. So, amazing album. That's
man. He fucking nailed it.
And then there's one album I haven't mentioned.
Oh, shit.
And here's where people are going to get, man, what the fuck, Quake?
What the
Why this fucking album? The Red Album.
Yeah.
My number one Game album. Why?
Yo, this the Game. Let me know why.
So, his fifth album, mind you, Doctor's Advocate, LAX, he wasn't with Dre. Fifth album finally gets back with Dre. Expectations are through the roof. Can Game deliver? Mind you, he's telling it the Red Album. Think of color albums that have been classics. The Blueprint, Jay-Z, classic. The White Album, The Beatles,
Wow.
fucking classic. Now you're delivering the Red Album.
Dude.
So people are comparing it off the bat, off just the title. Why do I like this album so much? The singles, I think, are the strongest singles that Game has ever had on an album, in my opinion. People are going to probably disagree and be like, nah, because think about it. Here are the singles off this album. Got Red Nation. Let's break down Red Nation. A U.S. Navy SEAL or a Marine or whatever. Sorry, I'm disrespecting. I'm not trying to disrespect. I just don't know what was a U.S. Navy SEAL, a Marine, whatever. Said he bumped that Red Nation Lil Wayne record when he went to go kill Osama bin Laden. That's how dope that record is. And I agree 1,000,000%. That's the record you bump when you're going to do a high, risky job like that. It gave him energy to go do that. They executed it right. If you don't know that, go do your Googles. Red Nation, Lil Wayne, Game. That was the song that he used. I love that fucking record. Then you got Pot of Gold with Chris Brown. Spotlight is not for me. Dope record. Another one of those emotional records that Game delivered perfectly on. Then you got The City with Kendrick Lamar. By the way, that's the first track off the album. That sample is fire. The angels in the city. Ah. Then you got Kendrick Lamar's The New Kid. Fucking snaps on it at the end. Game snaps on it. Fucking perfection, that record is. Then you got the other single, Martians vs. Goblins. Tyler, the Creator, Game, Lil Wayne. Video is dope as fuck, too. Record is dope. I don't like that he dissed LeBron James, but other than that, it was fire. And you have to put into perspective, Game managed to mash the new school sound with his old school sound in one album perfectly. I just love the way he did. He had newer artists on there, Drake, Tyler, the Creator, Kendrick Lamar at the time. Great features on there. And he had older ones, Snoop Dogg, Dre, and whoever else. Let me find the track list. Hell, I even like Rick Ross on this album, man. And I barely like him on songs.
Straight up.
This is why I like it. The first 12 tracks are perfect on this album. There isn't a single skip. You have Dr. Dre talking. By the way, you have Dr. Dre talking in between the album, which is dope as hell. So the first intro, Dr. Dre's talking. Then you got The City with Kendrick Lamar. Then you got Drug Test with Dre, Snoop Dogg, and Sly, which is a fire record. I'm in his mouth doing what I want. 10 bottles, 10 bitches, blowing my persona.
Yeah.
The beat, fucking Dre, you know how he is. DJ Khalil and all that producer. Martian vs. Goblins, amazing record. I said Red Nation. Good Girls Go Bad with Drake, great record. Ricky, I love that record too. The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, I love that record too. Heavy Artillery, you got guns, 45. Yeah, Rick Ross and Beanie Siegel killed it. Rick Ross and Beanie Siegel. Perfect people to put on that track. Snapped on that bitch. Paramedics with Jeezy, snapped on that bitch. Speakers on blast. The boys got the speakers on blast. I love that record too. Big Boy and E40 killed it. And then this is where it kind of started to dwindle down for me. I didn't like the Hello with Lloyd record. I didn't like All the Way Gone with Wale and Mario. Pot of Gold, I love with Chris Brown. All I Know, I love. Born in the Trap, I love. Mama Knows and Nelly Furtado, California Dream, I love. And then you got Dr. Dre outro, which I liked. So Really, there's only like 2.
His bars on this album were fucking sick, bro.
Yeah, there's 3 tracks I don't like on this album. Everything else is fire.
This album is an 8 for sure, man.
Yeah, to you.
Yeah.
To me, I give it a 9.5. This is the closest. This is the closest to me Game got to a classic. And I know people aren't going to agree with me. People are going to say Doctor's Advocate. People are going to say the documentary. Those are the 2 that people go to. I think Game would even be surprised if I said it's a Red Album. If I told Game Red Album is my favorite album from you, he'd be surprised.
Didn't he talk about the Red Album? He said like, I thought I heard him say something about this album. Like
Game
he spoke of some shit.
Yeah,
about
Game.
it.
I think Game ranks Doctor's Advocate number 1.
Yeah,
and then he ranks the documentary somewhere around there in the Red Album.
Right, and then the Red Album.
Yeah,
he knows this album was. It was.
I
him, you know?
I don't know.
Plus
To me, every time I go to Game's catalog, I go to this album the most. I just like this one the most.
Who's the artist that got Dre back to do music?
Yeah,
it was this fucking album.
Yeah, I mean, you got Eminem that was doing his thing.
Except besides Eminem.
Yeah.
You know, like nobody really was getting.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
I wish the album cover would have been better. The original album cover. I like the one where he's holding the gun. It's like.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
I don't remember seeing
this. Is the alternate. I really like this album.
Oh
cover.
yeah, you
way
told
better.
me that shit. I think you posted it before.
Yeah, this is way better of an album cover than the original.
I agree. This one's dope as fuck too, man.
He's just holding like his
yeah, like
it was all right. Yeah, but I think the album cover, that's where he missed, is the album cover. That's it.
Ah, shit. 1 point.
Yeah, so that's why it's a 9.5. You had a great album cover.
0.5? Damn.
Nah, I'm just joking.
Just because of the album cover, man.
Also, the funny thing about this is when I hacked George Lopez's Twitter,
oh shit,
I was trolling the Game about never releasing the Red Album and kept getting pushed back. He's like, shut up, Jorge, like some shit like that. And he was like, I'll drop the album. You're just mad that blah, blah, blah. So that's another moment that was funny.
Thank you for those followers you gave me.
Yeah. I can't believe I hacked George Lopez's Twitter. But that's my ranking for Game's albums. Let me go over the list one more time. Number 8, The Documentary 2. Number 7, Born to Rap. Number 6, 1992.
Yeah.
Number 5, Jesus Peace. Number 4, LAX. Number 3, The Documentary. Number 2, Doctor's Advocate. And number 1, The Red Album. And that's my list.
The Game.
So like it, hate it, love it. That's my list. I respect everybody else's list. Respect mine because it's just my opinion, guys. It's just my opinion. Yeah. That's all it is. Nothing serious.
It's a good list.
Yeah, I enjoy it. That's how I'm looking at it. You know, people would argue the Red Album being like 3rd or 4th, but you know, yeah.
For me, honestly, if I had, it goes from 1st, 2nd to 3rd to 4th. It's just like that, all the way.
Yeah, you said the way it was released is the way you rank.
Except I would change LAX and Red Album.
Flip them around. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only thing I would change around because I like the Red Album more than LAX. But
yeah.
The Game.
That's my ranking for the Game's albums as we prepare for Drillmatic. I can't wait to listen to that. Maybe that'll be higher up. You think Drillmatic will be somewhere in the top 5?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, the way he's hyping this shit up. Wonder if he wins
top 6 or top 5.
Hey, Hit Boy got Nas to win a Grammy. So if somehow he gets Game to win a Grammy,
Hit Boy a beast.
That'll be insane. If Game wins a Grammy off the album, that'll be fucking insane.
That's it. Game is back.
All Game is officially back. He's
officially back.
Yeah,
he can diss anybody and get away with it.
Exactly. Nah.